It is mock draft live, and Aaron Stewart and I are here for the rubber matchup of our mock draft. And Aaron, I gotta say, I got in a pretty good practice session with Cody and Maddie, and I feel pretty prepared for this. How are you feeling?
Well, they gave you the promo time. I'm just sitting there going, no one's giving me a live mic. It's probably my Rashad White takes, my Chris Olave takes. I get it. They try to silence my mic there, but I'm ready. I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right, so we had this super technical way of determining who would get the first pick, which is we played rock, paper, scissors before we came on the air, and I was victorious, so I will be drafting from the 101, and I can't wait to get this started. It's a single quarterback, nothing fancy with the tight end, a PPR rookie mock draft, Dynasty Rookie Mock Draft. So I'm excited to get going. Without further ado, I'm going to hit this bumper and away we go. All right, there she is, the wonderful spreadsheet that Maddie Kiwum shared with me. So I have the first pick, right? And who am I going to take? I think Bijan Robinson, I think, is who I will take. Going to the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, this is about as good of a landing spot as we could hope for him. And I also have to pick my color. I think I'm gonna be orange, and I think that looks pretty good. Pretty easy pick for me. I don't know if much analysis is needed to be given here. He's far and away the best running back in the class, best player in the class. So Aaron, I will shoot it to you. The 102. I have a feeling I know what you're going to do, and it might break my heart a little bit.
Probably. And before I make my pick, I'm just going to let people know that what we've also done with this mock draft is we do have landing spots. We chose a recent 3-round mock draft on CBS here. So we've got draft capital and we've got landing spots here to kind of change it up a little bit, because clearly Seth and I both have our favorite players. And that draft capital does matter. It absolutely matters. And landing spot can matter. It could be the tiebreaker. So your Roshan pick, I mean, he's always going to be the 101. It's hard to imagine a situation where he's not. 102, there is a discussion here, but I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to go Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's going to the Houston Texans with the 12th overall pick. And look at what the Texans have. They potentially add a franchise quarterback, and there's no receiving competition there. Jackson Smith-Njigba, he's legit. He's every time that we try to put a hurdle, oh, he may be slow. Oh, the hamstring injury. He just keeps answering the questions there. Let's stop second guessing the easy pick here at the 102. It's Jackson Smith-Njigba, baby.
Yeah, and I can't fault you. I think in this particular instance, especially with the Jahmyr Gibbs landing spot, not terrible, but not necessarily my favorite spot for him to go. I mean, he doesn't go in the first round in this mock draft that we are using. He's going to the second round to the Cardinals, and I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be my 103. I still think that landing spot's good. I love the draft capital for a running back, and anyway, this is probably honestly the break in a tier for me. Now at the 104 it gets a little bit trickier, but yeah, I think here I'll mute myself and shut my dogs up here. So live
well, he's muted. I get to say, like, I paid those dogs to catch him off his game there, to get him rattled. It's the dog pound, baby, and it was successful.
I'm back. The dogs are still not happy, but Jahmyr Gibbs, Arizona Cardinals. I think that's a pretty good enough landing spot for me not to decrease him here from the tier that I have him in. So I'm interested, though. The 104, I think, is where things start to get interesting, especially in this, with these landing spots. So I'm interested to see what you're going to do.
Yeah, I will say that he's not my pick, but Quentin Johnston, the pro day that's coming up, is pivotal. One of the things I love to do is use data analysis and look at players that are similarly built. He's got a lot of burst, but if he runs a slow 40-yard time, that could be damaging to Quentin Johnston. So 104, Roschon Johnson getting second round draft capital on this one, going to the Buffalo Bills, going to a Josh Allen offense, draft capital, top offense there. Sign me up in a 1 QB league. We love running backs. I know I just made Cody happy with that pick. 104, Roschon Johnson, baby.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I don't know quite what to say because yeah, I mean, he probably would have been my next pick. Honestly, I've been getting some I don't know if you want to call it heat or what just happened. I'm trying to operate this.
Whoa, you trying to give me the wrong guy here? Is this what?
Yeah, sabotage, throwing throwing a steel chair in the ring. But yeah, so Roschon Johnson at the 104 to the Buffalo Bills. When I saw this would be my dream probably of a landing spot for Roschon Johnson in the second round. And I think it's possible, if he goes to the Bills. I know that backfield already has James Cook, and they signed Damian Harris, but I think he's going to play a pivotal role in that offense, especially if they draft him that high, if they invest that kind of draft capital in him. And I was excited. That was probably the most excited I was when I was reading through this CBS mock draft that we're using for this mock draft that we're doing here tonight. So that leaves me in a weird spot right now because honestly, the Quentin Johnston landing spot doesn't really get me too excited, but there is a landing spot that gets me a little bit more excited, and that's Jordan Addison. So Jordan Addison being drafted by the Green Bay Packers. Allen Lazard is leaving, opens up some targets there for Jordan Love. And in Baltimore, it's really a decision between those two guys. In Baltimore, such a weird situation for wide receivers to go, especially with the Lamar Jackson thing. We don't know necessarily who their starting quarterback's going to be. It doesn't look like it's going to be Lamar Jackson. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there, but I think I'll take the safe pick and take Jordan Addison, getting the draft capital, going to a pretty good landing spot in Green Bay. So you're up here, Aaron, at the 106.
With the 106, I did allude to this player with my previous pick. This would be where I would take Quentin Johnston. The one thing that he has that these other receivers don't have is size, right? 6'3", 208. He's got explosiveness that is at the top of the charts there. And I will say, especially if he does run fast, like you look at some similar comps in terms of the athletic measurables and players around the same height, the same weight. I don't it feels weird to put the name in there, but if he's fast, then he starts to athletically compare to Randy Moss. That would be, he becomes very tantalizing there. He's a polarizing player. People either love Quentin Johnston or they hate him. But I'm going to swing for upside here. And when you look at the guys that are still on the board, there's still some talented running backs, but I'm going to trust the first round draft capital there. Give me a guy that has massive upside. I know some people like to talk about N'Keal Harry and some of these recent big receivers and how they've been flops. I'm not worried with Quentin Johnston if he proves that he is fast.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with that pick at all. It was between him and Jordan Addison there for me at the 105. And if like you said, if he runs fast, that's going to be huge for him. I mean, he's the only receiver in this class with the size and potentially the speed. But now here at the 107, I think it's time for me to get one of my guys. And with the draft capital, I think he lands in a pretty good situation too in this mock draft. And I'm going to go with Zay Flowers here at the 1-7. And I've talked about how I'm not so sure if Derek Carr is necessarily going to be an improvement for Chris Olave. But if they add Zay Flowers to this offense, I mean, all of a sudden you're talking an offense that is, we got Chris Olave, Zay Flowers. I know Michael Thomas injury update was not great today from what I saw, but potentially him, and then all of a sudden you have a dynamic offense with a lot of players that potentially mix really well together. And with this draft capital we get in the mid-second round, I think this was kind of a layup pick for me, taking Zay Flowers, who I'm a huge fan of. He's one of my favorite players in this draft. So back to you with the 108.
108 gets a little interesting. So for those that may be tuning in, just to let you guys know, we're actually using a mock draft from CBS for landing spot and draft capital. Zach Charbonnet is an interesting one because he didn't get drafted in this 3-round mock draft. So is it safe? Can we assume maybe he's drafted 4th round? And I don't really know what we're going to do with these guys that didn't get drafted. But with that uncertainty, looking at running backs, you're taking, you know what? Give me Zach Charbonnet. We don't have a landing spot. Wow. It makes it risky, but it's running back with size, speed. It's got some pass catching ability. Don't know why in this mock draft he slides out of the 3rd round, but I'll gamble. We're in the second half of the 1st round, and when you look at these players and the draft capital, you got to swing. Zach Charbonnet. We'll take a gamble.
Yeah, I know. He's a guy who I think is going to get day 2 draft capital, but in this particular instance, he doesn't. And I think I don't know if Aaron is tilting or what's going on here, because I mean it's so interesting. Like when you put landing spots like this, it changes. We're talking about it like we are very confident that we know what's going to happen, but these NFL teams are unpredictable. We saw it last year. So going through an exercise like this with the landing spots is, I think, essential in your practice, because things like this are going to happen. It's going to be unpredictable in nature. And so you're sitting there, and I'm looking at quite a few running backs that have tantalizing landing spots, right? But they're not necessarily, some of them, not all of them, they're not necessarily players that I personally am a fan of. So what do we do here? What do we do? So what will I do? I think I've stalled long enough, right? So I have to scroll down on my sheet maybe to find this. Where is he? I can't do that yet. Oh boy. I'll take Tajay Spears. All right. I think I was tilting there. I'm not gonna lie. So we'll see what Aaron does, and we'll see what move he makes. And some people probably are yelling at me in the chat. I see it. I see some comments piling up. But Tajay Spears, if he goes to Cleveland, I love the offensive line there. I love, playing with Deshaun Watson. Tajay Spears does something that Nick Chubb doesn't necessarily do, and catch passes out of the backfield. I believe it was him. He had like 20 receptions in his junior and senior years. So I think this is a pretty good landing spot, a pretty good fit. And I was torn. This is probably the toughest pick I've made so far in this draft because of the landing spots, because of the draft capital is so important. But I might have just done something. I might have just done Aaron Stewart a huge favor. I don't know.
With one of the things that he has going for him is draft capital in this instance here. Drafted in the 3rd round, going to a Cleveland Browns offense, and that Browns offense is going to be good this year. Deshaun Watson is there. He has weapons. Adding Elijah Moore is a nice little 3rd, 4th option in the passing game. So Spears is just yet another weapon on an offense that should be good. The defense may improve a little bit, but the mixture of the draft capital, the size, the speed, I can get behind it. I say size. I know he's a little on the smaller side, but he's not sub 200 pounds. I don't hate it with Tajay Spears. He's checked a lot of boxes. So 1-0, what pick are we on? We're on 110?
110.
Yep. Into the 1st round. I'm looking at receivers there. Nothing's really enticing. That was kind of my fear, is that you've got all these small receivers. None of them really got good draft capital in this one. Might as well swing again. This one may be a little bit more situational based, but Tank Bigsby landing with the Philadelphia Eagles in the 3rd round. Sorry to all the Kenneth Gainwell fans there. You're going to find out that Gainwell is just a guy. He's a pass catcher. Really good at being a pass catcher. but he's never going to be the guy in the backfield. Tank Bigsby, we can think of this almost as like a Tyler Algier type situation. Has size, the ability to be, I guess, kind of the thumper in the offense that can handle the carries. We saw with Miles Sanders last year, right? Maybe he's not heavily involved in the passing game. That's not really Tank Bigsby's profile there. It's got decent speed. A comparison to Damian Harris, it's not sexy, but it is a profile of a player that's made in the NFL. I think we could see a decent season out of Tank Bigsby. You draft him, then maybe you flip him for some draft picks, but I'll take Tank Bigsby at 110.
Yeah, it's one of those guys that, I mean, gosh, if he gets this landing spot, I mean, he's 6 feet tall. I mean, he runs good enough. His best comparable player is Damian Harris. I mean, within a situation where he's likely going to get a lot of volume paired up with Kenneth Gainwell. So he project in this situation, he would project to be that thumper to Gainwell's, more likely a third down role. So he could come in and be a relative workhorse, or a workhorse, like 2023 version of a workhorse, right? Where it's a shared backfield. So I love that pick. It was between him and Spears at 109. I took the draft capital, but now I think I have to take the draft capital again. And this is not necessarily a guy that I am personally a fan of, but if he lands in this situation, right, it's a guy that I'm going to be more intrigued by, and that's Devin Achane, right? He goes to Cincinnati in this particular situation, and I know he's undersized, but he has speed. And if they bring back Joe Mixon, which they still could, that all of a sudden that backfield is pretty interesting with Devin Achane. And I think they're going to use him. If they draft him, if he gets this draft capital, and they're going to have a big role for him in the offense. And the 4.32 40, I mean, is just college dominator rating in the 90th percentile. There's a lot to like here, even though he isn't as big as we would like him to be. I mean, he did catch targets as well in college, so he can catch the ball out of the backfield. There's a lot to like. He's not perfect, so that's where it is. It's a purely the landing spot has swung me toward Devin Achane here. I can't not take him.
Well, I've seen the comments there. Oh man, Cody was pulling for you, and I knew the moment you made that announcement for the 111 pick, I knew that I got all the momentum there. It's like you had me down for the 3 count, and I got my shoulder up at 2 9/10. Right, I was able to. I'm back in it because I'm gonna take the guy that I am pretty sure Cody wanted you to take, because you're afraid of like the unknown here. You're saying, oh, Kendre Miller, he didn't get drafted in the first 3 rounds. Like, can't take him. I got to trust the draft capital in Devin Achane. Was this lesser James Cook 2.0, right? We'll go with Kendre Miller. There's a lot of unknowns. I'll admit, you pull him up on Player Profiler, you don't see any measurements. We're not going to know anything for a couple more days, I think is the TCU Pro Day. 5'11", 215 pounds. That's pretty good BMI in my book there. He looked like he was pretty productive, like a solid guy. It's almost like it's perfect in a pre-NFL draft to take a guy like the soon-to-be 21-year-old. That's how young he is. He's less than 21 years old. The guy that doesn't really pop in the analytics because we don't know anything about him. I feel like that's why in this mock draft he fell. I don't care if he doesn't have a team in this one. Like, I know that Kendre Miller is better than Devin Achane. Give me Kendre Miller at the 112 to round out round 1.
And so far, Aaron has taken 2 guys who are getting 4th round draft capital, and I don't know. I couldn't do it there. I had to take the known versus the unknown because draft capital, landing spots, so important. But let us know. I believe there's a poll up in the comments right now about who won round 1. So let us know so we can know who is the winner, because there has to be a winner. And I'm not gonna lie, I think it's a pretty easy choice. It's me. So
Nah, boo this guy, boo this guy. He's out there taking Devin A. Chain. That's like drafting a tight end in a 1 QB draft.
well, that might happen. That might happen in the second round, Aaron. But if the value's there, and speaking of value, we are at the 201, right? And so now it's time for me to really put the nail in the coffin, right? Look at all the, I mean, Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jordan Addison. Look at all the great landing spots and all the great prospects that are on my team. And now it's time for me to nail down a position with the landing spot here. And it's my favorite quarterback. And then, yes, I'm going quarterback. I don't care. I'm going to take the guy in a single quarterback league that is that difference maker. In this particular situation, he winds up in Indianapolis, right? What does that mean? Oh, I don't know. He's likely he's going to start right away. Now, you can make an argument that maybe he shouldn't start right away, but I would think if he goes to Indianapolis, what else are they going to do? Give me Anthony Richardson.
Trade for Lamar Jackson.
Well, I mean, why would they do that and draft him? I mean, I don't know. I'll take Anthony Richardson, the elite difference maker at the quarterback position, my QB1 in this class, and I love it. I was hoping you wouldn't take him at the 112, and so I'm gonna get my guy there at 201. I feel like it's the perfect time. It's the perfect time.
If you were going to take a quarterback first in this is the only option in a 1 QB league. Strictly because the upside, right? The rushing, tantalizing size, speed specimen at QB. Yes, I can understand the logic of taking him as the first QB, but man, there's still some good talent here. I am a sucker for this next receiver. I am. There's 2 receivers I always find myself drafting. I'm a Quentin Johnston fan, of course. And then I'm a Jayden Reed guy. And we see him go to the Seahawks, 3rd round, day 2 draft capital. That's one of the things I'm looking for Jayden Reed is get day 2 draft capital. This guy, to me, he's a dog. Like, I freaking love Jayden Reed. I know I say it every time on the mock draft. I'll be brief on this. 2018 starts at Central Michigan, immediately is productive. He outproduces an eventual 2nd rounder in the NFL draft in Dwayne Eskridge. I know Eskridge is garbage, but he got drafted in the 2nd round, right? And funny enough, it's Jayden Reed getting drafted to the Seahawks to once again take Dwayne Eskridge's job. It's not going to be that hard, but he could have stayed in the small college. He could have gone the Sky Moore route. Big fish in a small pond. But he bet on himself. He transferred, had to sit out 2019, went to Michigan State, productive every single season. I love the dynamism. He's a returner as well. Give me Jayden Reed. I like him.
Yeah, I'm a fan too. But I'm worried that there's another guy on the board here that got maybe maybe he got a good landing spot. It might not look like a good landing spot, but I'm a huge fan of where he landed, to be honest with you. And I'm gonna go with Josh Downs at the 203, wide receiver, North Carolina. And Shervon Vakimi wrote an article that was very, and you should go check it out in the article section, news and analysis section, about Josh Downs. And if he winds up in this situation, I know it's a run-first offense in Tennessee, but, there's not much target competition there. And I know he doesn't have necessarily the size that we're looking for, but he's got good burst. College dominator was there, college target share was there, breakout age was there. So a lot of things going in his favor. And of course, he had the college production, back-to-back years with over 1,000 yards. So I think this is a pretty good pick here, winding up in Tennessee. So I guess I got to scroll down here to get to the 204. There we go. So you are up, my friend, at the 204.
Well, you take one of my guys and Josh Downs, and you know what I got to do? I got to take one of your guys this turn. So I do love Josh Downs. That prototype of the 5'9", 5'10", 180-pound receivers gets me every time, right? Wan'Dale Robinson, Elijah Moore. I always love them. So you take one of my guys. I'm coming for Michael Mayer. Yeah, that's right. I'm taking tight end because I knew exactly what you were going to do with your next pick. Michael Mayer here with the first-round draft capital going to the Cincinnati Bengals. And yes, I know Irv Smith signed with the Bengals. If it would mean something if Irv Smith was good at football. But Cody's in the chat, lifelong Vikings fan. He could tell you that Irv Smith sucks. He's not going to keep Michael Mayer on the sidelines. There's no way. I'll say that some of the advanced stats that I've seen with this guy are crazy. A tight end having a 30% target share in college, that's unheard of. It's insane to see that type of receiving production there. Yes, I've knocked him for his athleticism, but he gets that draft capital. Goes to a team. In this case, you're going to the Bengals. You got Joe Burrow throwing you the ball. Like that Bengals passing offense was already dangerous. Michael Mayer lands there. Oh, baby, I'm on board with 6'5", 249-pound tight end.
Yeah, no, I love the landing spot for him. But man, oh man, I'm surprised. I'm kind of surprised, Aaron, because I seem to remember me getting maligned for taking this tight end in this exact same spot. So I guess the draft capital swung you right over to my side of the fence, and yes, Michael Mayer is one of my guys.
Or did I work you? Did I work you into psychologically psych you out?
I don't think it's a work. I think I don't know. I think I've got Aaron up against the ropes here, and it's my job to just stay the course, right? Just keep picking value, keep taking it where it shows up. And I know I'm not a huge fan of this landing spot, but like you said, like Aaron said, yeah, he's over there taking my guys. He should be worried about his guys, right? And I'm just gonna take one of my guys, and I'm just gonna go ahead and take Marvin Mims here. And Marvin Mims, if you check out his profile on playerprofiler.com, you will see some pretty impressive things. You'll see 90th percentiles all over the board, right? And this is a guy who went to the University of Oklahoma, didn't necessarily have the college production. I mean, he had over 1,000 receiving yards in 2022, 4.38 speed, burst score, breakout age, and my favorite of all, and I know breakout or best comparable player is a range of outcomes, right? But if he winds up anything like Darnell Mooney, which is his best comparable player on playerprofiler.com, sign me up. I know the landing spot's weird with New England. They add Gesicki and Juju, and they're doing all this weird stuff. We're really not sure what the game plan is. But Marvin Mims is one of my guys. I can get him here in the mid-second round, and I feel great about it. And the reason I'm pushing tight end, and the reason I'm kind of shocked that Aaron Stewart went with a tight end, is because there's a lot of these tight ends got great landing spots. So I was kind of waiting to see what you would do at tight end, and you've taken one. So I don't know if he's going to take like three more, or we'll see what happens here. But I'm feeling great. It looks like I'm winning in our chat, 10-0. Wow.
I'm used to being booed, but guys,
10-0, 10-0. All right, Aaron, you've got some work to do, so I'm interested to see what you got cooked up here at the 206.
You can keep taking those undersized receivers that they just hope that they're the next coming of Devontae Smith, and they're not because they're just inferior, right? We'll take Michael Mayer, right? Because he got some size. He might be one of the most productive tight ends we've seen in quite a while come out of college. Look at the board here. I do like the Litnikoff award-winning receivers. I don't agree with how low he goes in this mock draft here, but Jalen Hyatt going in the third round to the Minnesota Vikings, hey, Justin Jefferson is there. Hawkinson is there. After that, who's keeping Hyatt on the sideline, right? Like we've got KJ Osborne, Jalen Naylor. No, there's a need. There's a role. Speed kills. I like Jalen Hyatt. Yes, taking a smaller receiver here, but I'll let you draft a lot of those small receivers first, and then I can get my one small receiver. I like Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah, I'm a fan too. Not as big of a fan. I mean, I like Marvin Mims just a little bit better. I think we've had this debate on these on this mock draft show with this back and forth, and the landing spot you could argue maybe is a little bit better for Jalen Hyatt now that Thielen's kind of out of the way, opens up a role there. But yeah, I can't fault you for that pick because we have a lot of interesting decisions now that we're in the back half of the second round. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of factors to consider, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do something that I typically don't do, right? I typically, landing spot's a huge deal for me. I think college production and landing spot are two of the biggest factors to consider when you are in your rookie drafts, right? I mean, you can do all your research up front, but the landing spot's so important. But we don't have one here. But I'm going to take a shot in the mid-second round on Kayshon Boutte, right? I think now's the time at the 207, even though we don't know where he's going to go, and it's a receiver that's fallen out of day 2, which I never like to do, but there's a lot of upside here with this pick. And I know there's off-the-field concerns, and, this is another one where you could just be lighting it on fire because you don't know what's going to happen. But I think there's enough upside here that he could be a real difference maker in the league. And so I'll go ahead and take my first guy that doesn't have a landing spot in Kayshon Boutte.
Yeah, Kayshon is a Devy favorite, right? And what I'll say is, like, if he falls in the NFL draft like this, I've usually been the one that's been drafting him and going, I just can't shake the early production that he had at LSU. Man, if he falls out of the first 3 rounds, I don't know. Like, the NFL could be telling us something if that happens in the real NFL draft. I look at the remaining board. Ooh, we have got a mixture of interesting prospects that weren't drafted in the top 3 rounds. Still got quite a few QBs. Got all of those tight ends too. I'll gamble because I feel like it drops off at running back. I'll take Zach Evans, right? Dart throws. It's a reminder that in rookie mock drafts that honestly, you don't even make it through the first round before you start taking dart throws anyways. Might as well throw dart throws at running backs. We only have high school workout metrics. They're impressive. They're off the board. I might be a dangerous assumption to go. He's still as fast. I wish he was a little bigger, but he does pass 200 pounds. Man, those high school workout metrics, if he's able to keep that, I don't know if Ole Miss has a pro day coming up. I'm unable to keep up with all those pro days, but I'd be interested to see how well he tests because, man, if his current workout metrics match the high school workout metrics, it almost looks like kind of a Jerick McKinnon type, just a crazy fast athlete. I'll gamble on workout metrics at this point of the draft.
Gotcha. Yeah, it is a shot in the second round. But at the 209, I think I'm going to finally pull the trigger on a tight end and go with the player who got the first round draft capital in a situation that's really, really good. And this tight end class, you could honestly, in your rookie drafts, you might be able to, in these formats, if you need a tight end, especially with the landing spots that in this draft. You have Dalton Kincaid going to the Raiders. I love that landing spot. You have Darnell Washington going to the Lions. Sam Laporta to the Jets. If they get Aaron Rodgers, all of a sudden that becomes more interesting. So you have a lot of tight ends with really good landing spots, and I think Luke Musgrave getting the first round draft capital, getting drafted ahead of Michael Mayer by the Dallas Cowboys. And Aaron's made the argument on this show that Luke Musgrave does test more athletically than Michael Mayer. Now, I don't think he's as good of a player, but getting him at the 209 here with the upside in that Cowboys offense in this situation that we're in the CBS mock, I love it. At the 209, I feel like it's free money.
Yes, with tight ends, that's usually the safest bet, right? Get a highly athletic tight end, crazy ceiling. A lot of times, though, I guess for like every Travis Kelce, there's a lot more of the David Njokus that just leave you wanting more for many, many years before you finally get something decent. So it's tough with the tight ends. It is Russian roulette, that's for sure. You left on the board here for me at the 210. That's where I'm going to get some points with Cody here because we got to take the top quarterback, right? We got to go Will Levis. Now, in this mock draft, he falls. He falls big time. Falls to 118. He goes to the Rams. So the one thing I do know about scouting quarterbacks is that nobody knows how to scout quarterbacks. Every year, we always go for the higher drafted QBs. Certainly easy to go CJ Stroud, 101, right? But have the Panthers as an organization, have they done anything in recent years that make you feel like that's the place where a franchise quarterback, the next fantasy football superstar quarterback can develop? I don't think so. But if he goes to the Rams, Sean McVay, that culture that they have with the Rams, that would be a dream scenario. Would suck for Will Levis to fall that far in the draft, but Lamar Jackson, who's been in the news, right, famously fell to the end of the first round. Even Josh Allen in that same draft, he fell in the draft. It was Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. I know that's just one rookie draft class, but a lot of times the reason those franchises are picking at the top of the draft is because they're horrible franchises, and situation, landing spot matters a lot for QBs. Will Levis going to the Rams? I know. I'll have to be patient. Matthew Stafford's still there. But man, for a dynasty, this is one of my last picks in the second round. I'll wait. Tantalizing upside.
Yeah, I think the two quarterbacks that I keep coming back to are Anthony Richardson and Will Levis, and somebody who might not know or might be new to Dynasty, because there's a lot of people like this in my life right now, would probably wonder why in the world are those two guys going with Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. Well, it's because they have that kind of upside. They have the size, they have the mobility. And yeah, Will Levis is somebody, I mean, going to the Rams at pick 118, going later in the draft, I know he falls outside of the top 10, but going to specifically the Rams, I looked at it and I thought, you know what? It really doesn't change much for me, because who knows what's going to happen with Stafford? Who knows? It's just, with the injury concerns there, and he's won his Super Bowl, and, McVay was going to on the fence about coming back. It was a weird situation. So at the 210 in that situation, you can, depending on your format, if you have deeper rosters, you could just stash him in a one QB league. And he does have that upside that, CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, they just don't have, even though they got the better landing spot and are going to play right away in these situations. So man, at the 211, this is at the point in the draft where these are the tough decisions that you have to make, and I only get one more pick, right? I only get one more pick, and there aren't many players left with the draft capital that I like and the landing spot. So I think I'm gonna take a chance on not a wide receiver, but a running back. And I'm going to take Israel Abanikanda out of Pittsburgh. Now, this pick might shock some people, but I think there's enough upside here. And again, it's a shot for me. I'm a fan of this guy out of Pittsburgh. I think he has a good chance of finding a good home somewhere on day 3. And at the 211, I'm totally fine with that.
If I can unmute my mic there. There we go. Admittedly, I was certainly hoping he would fall to me. It would have been the perfect pick to end this 2-round mock draft. And before I announce my pick here, I do want to say that one of the things that you've got to do if you're not already is subscribe to the all-in package for Player Profiler. It is the best deal in the market in fantasy football. Yes, I'm a little biased, but if I'm going to spend $135 on a product that helps me across all of fantasy football, it would be the all-in package for Player Profiler. And it's your lucky day because as I conclude a draft that I have clearly beaten Seth in, you can use promo code Aaron and get $10 off the all-in package. So it's a $125 deal. That includes data analysis. I love data analysis. That's how I find some of the players that I like. I certainly love to look at guys that I think can break out next season. Marquise Brown, one of my dynasty buys there. I know this is where I get booed, but on top of the data analysis, DFS Dominator. I can vouch for it that I was able to turn a couple of years ago a 25-cent entry into $1,500 using the DFS Dominator tool. This is firsthand experience on that. So why are you not getting the DFS Dominator that's included in the all-in package? We've got rankings. We got rankings for everything, including the FFPC tight end premium rankings. Use promo code Aaron to get all of these and more. $125 if you use the code with my name. And to conclude this is going to be a boring pick. But in terms of like getting value for the 212 in a 1 QB league, can't talk right now. CJ Stroud, I know, and talked about the Panthers. Picking 101, though, he will have years of continued opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. If it sounds like I'm contradicting myself because I picked Will Levis, what I will say is the one thing we know about scouting quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks in fantasy football, the one guarantee is that we don't know how to scout quarterbacks in fantasy football. If I'm completely wrong with Will Levis, it could be CJ Stroud. Anthony Richardson, who knows? Maybe he just runs fast, looks great at the combine, and maybe it just doesn't translate. And maybe Seth's team just really doesn't have a quarterback.
Well, you can do everything Aaron said about the all-in package except use promo code Seth, not Aaron. SETH, that's my name. Use that promo code for the winner of this draft, because now I think it's time for us to recap the draft, right? So let's scroll on up here if I can figure out the technology. So I, by process of very carefully crafted way of determining who got the 101 pick by having what was it, a thumb war, or no, it was rock paper scissors. It was rock paper
thumb
scissors.
war over camera. That's a
yeah. Well, we were gonna have a wrestling match, but that's hard to do virtually. So Bijan Robinson, I think with that landing spot, we all think he's going to get the late first round capital, and he does in this particular situation. Then Aaron, I mean, I think the two layup picks at the 1-2, I would have gone Jackson Smith and Jigba there as well, landing with the Texans, first receiver off the board. Then I took Jahmyr Gibbs, second running back off the board to the Cardinals. And then Aaron shocked the world and shocked me by taking Roschon Johnson. I went Jordan Addison as he gets that first round draft capital with the Packers. The next receiver off the board, Quentin Johnson to the Ravens. I took Zay Flowers as he winds up with the Saints. And then Aaron goes off the board here with Zach Charbonnet, who did not get drafted in the first 3 rounds according to this mock draft we're using. So I went ahead and nabbed Tajay Spears, just scooped up the value, landing with Cleveland. And that's when Aaron, he saw that move and he's like, oh no, I've got to do something. Now he's in scramble mode. So he gets Tank Bigsby. That was a good pick. But then Devin A-Chain for the win. Cody didn't like it, but the landing spot. If Roschon Johnson wound up at 111, I might have, or with Cincinnati, not at the 111. who knows? Maybe he's the 101. I don't know. We never can tell what Seth would do. Anyway, no, I would have taken Bijan. And then Kendre Miller winds up at the 112. And that's the first round, which I won. Not according to me, according to the people of the underworld. And then I continue my domination of the draft by taking Anthony Richardson at the 201. Aaron went Jaden Reed. I then in turn went Josh Downs as he gets the second round draft capital. Aaron tilted and took Michael Mayer as he gets the first round draft capital with Cincinnati. I went Marvin Mims, my guy. He went Jalen Hyatt, his guy. I took a chance on Kayshon Boutte with no landing spot. Zachary Evans, Aaron picked at the 208 with no landing spot. I took Luke Musgrave as he gets the first round draft capital. Then Aaron went Will Levis, and then I went Israel Abanikanda, and then Aaron went quarterback again to wind out the draft. So there you go, folks. I think, has the voting come in yet? Has the voting come in? Do we know what happened?
I'm going to say I'm not allowed to view it. Every time I say a Rachaad White negative thing, they take away one thing from me at Player Profiler, so I'm unable to see the poll.
I can't see it either. It doesn't show up in StreamYard, so anyway, like we said, you got to go sign up for that all-in package. Use Seth or Aaron, whoever you thought won the draft tonight, which would be me. Also, tomorrow night, we have the Writers Roundtable on this channel, 7 p.m. Central Time. Check that out. You can follow me on Twitter at Seth_DIEWOLD. You can follow Aaron at Aaron Stewart 09. Is that right?
Close. At okay. Aaron Stew 09.
Stew. Sorry, I knew I would get that wrong. Aaron, any final words of wisdom for the Player Profiler universe, or any plugs?
Quick thing that I will promote is, if Discord is your type of thing here, we do have a live Discord show. It's myself, my buddy Chris, who is a part of the Fantasy Intelligence Network. We do a live best ball show. We also talk about roster construction, and we've also been focusing on using the tools of Player Profiler, how to best utilize it. A lot of people on Twitter focus on the wrong details. It is the most helpful tool, and we look at the things that are free on Player Profiler. The free things on Player Profiler will make you smarter and better at fantasy football, and it'll help you win your home leagues. Chris and I, we show you guys what to focus on. That is going to be ironically the same time as Writers Roundtable. So there is more of a Team Seth versus Team Aaron. That's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern time on the Discord channel. We'll see. Do you want to watch Writers Roundtable, or do you want to go to Discord and learn how to use Player Profiler to help you win your leagues?
We'll see. Maybe, maybe they could catch both. Maybe they could start in one place and go to the other, or watch us later. Could do that. It's up to you. So I think that's going to do it for us tonight. We can't thank you guys enough for tuning in with us. Yes, go watch the roundtable. Listen to Matt Babbage. His children need food. I didn't even know Matt had any children.
What type of co-host are you? You don't know that your co-host has children or not.
I know I'm terrible, but I can't tell if you're the heel or I'm the heel of this particular. We need more definite roles probably next time. We're just two nice guys drafting. Anyway. Click the like button, subscribe, fix your life. Do that, please. Go get the all-in package or check those out for sure. The links are in the description. And if I can find the end screen, I will end the show. I know there's people out there that think I'm going to forget, but I'm not going to forget, all right? So I'm going to hit the end screen. Have a great night, and we will catch you next time here on the network. Bye-bye, everybody.